Welcome back to all of you that were on the last video. Again, welcome back. For those of you who are watching this video and you weren't with us in the last video, then also welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new to the channel, then welcome to the channel. And if you are new, just click on username, go to the channel page, click on video, go down to number 68, and that video will tell you what this channel is all about. My name is Brother Lewis. I'm with the United House of Prayer for All People. Have been now for 45 years. And we've been talking about corruption within leadership. Today, we have a very, very special guest. For the first time on the channel, we're going to hear from someone who many of you actually know. But at the same token, many of you don't know that you know who's on the channel. This is a very special friend. He is a brother. He is my cousin. And this individual, before I actually say his name, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story. This individual has a great, big old bucket load of faith and trust in God. And many of those individuals who know him personally know very well how his faith is etched in God. And I'm going to use as an example something that blew my mind when I learned just how much faith he has and how effective his faith is. I got a phone call. And with my phone call, I had some time off when I was in New York. Not off of work. I've been retired now for a while, but I was attending some classes, finishing up in the military, and I had some days. So I decided to call this individual, and well, we're going to shoot down to Charlotte. This happened to be the time that the weather was questionable, but it was clear skies, beautiful day. I went from New York, went down to where they are, and I'll tell you where that is in a moment. But when I picked them up, we got going, things started happening. And I'm going to say that loosely. Because what I learned in that trip is what's going on around us. I'm not going to say he's at fault for it, but he asked for it. So the details are this. This young man was looking out and seeing the evils and the wickedness and the corruption of this world, hearing all the news going on in the current affairs, seeing the stuff around him locally, statewide, nationwide, worldwide, and began to pray a prayer. And in that short prayer, in those very few minutes, he asked, now this is based on what he has shared with me while we were on the road going to where we were going, which happened to be Charlotte, going to where we were going at that time for an event, because I was still indoctrinated. But I'm going to tell you more about that ride in a moment. But in that short prayer, he asked in his prayer for the Lord to stir up something, to make an example, to captivate the people's minds, to get the people's attention, because they need to be brought into remembrance. The world is so wicked. The world is so evil. He asked the Lord to send something to get their attention, and even asked specifically, even if it has to be a hurricane. Well, almost just short of 2 weeks from that day, here came a hurricane, a ferocious hurricane from Georgia up the eastern seaboard. I think it went as far as Virginia. Did a lot of damage, got a lot of people's attention. Here's the thing. His faith, so high, so effective, that prayer is so powerful, that when the hurricane came out, many of you might remember Hurricane Matthew. Matthew happens to be the name of the young man who sent up the prayer. Matthew happens to be the young man that's on the line with us, my cousin, my brother, my friend. And many of you have seen him travel with us, and sometimes alone, as he would pop up at different House of Prayer events. So with that said, let us welcome for the very first time, Cousin Matt, my brother. How you doing, sir? And welcome to the channel.
I'm truly blessed, sir. How are you? First, I want to shout out to my brothers, sisters in the UHOP, from D.C. to Charlotte, North Carolina, even in the Eastern Shore, Delmarva, Salisbury, Maryland, even all around the nation. Hello and peace unto you. I have to come greet you in the name of love, of peace to God, to his son, Jesus. Yes, Elder Lord, how you doing, man?
I'm doing awesomely well. And he just said where it is that I was talking about earlier, Salisbury, Maryland. Salisbury, for many of you, you might be aware that this is the house of prayer that we initially joined, myself, my mother. That's the house of prayer where we first met and became interactive with, at the time, Deacon Cunningham. He wasn't an elder yet. And so at the time, we would get to know him, his brothers, his sister, and his nieces at the time were very, very young. They were babies. But his mother as well, we referred to as Mom Fields, St. Fields. But you remember those times, Matt?
Oh, yeah, I could not forget it. That was some good days, memories. I remember like it was yesterday.
And Salisbury had a lot of good times, as I recall.
Yes. Even when Apostle Rick wrote, he was a good, faithful man, traveling back and forth. I mean, that's how much that man loves Salisbury. You know, God's been with him all the way, and even through tough times. He even tried to encourage me, tried to be a mentor, tried to encourage me, and I could understand. He was trying to get me work, and I didn't know what work was. He said, your home work here. When he would see me in D.C., he would frown on that, and I was new. I was new in this ministry of the kingdom. They call it kingdom. I call it ministry. I was new. I was so young. I didn't know what work was. I knew what work in the national work was, going to work or help around home. But in the house prayer, that was new to me.
And so,
yes.
You were the same age. What month were you again? Your birthday?
I was born 1971, August the 1st.
August the 1st.
Yeah, I came to the house when I was 16, going on 17. Like, you know, that was around that time I was sneaking and coming and going, like James Brown was. You know, when he was young, he was going.
We're 2 months apart, but he's older than me. We joined when I was 9 years old, and Matt was on the other side of Salisbury. No. At that time, we were right there in Oneida Avenue. When we joined the House of Prayer, we went from Booth Street up the block around the corner when we first joined, and then we moved on his same block without realizing that they lived on that block. 1, 2, 3 houses down from our house. But of course, being cousins, we would talk to him from time to time about the house of prayer. And so Matthew has always been an individual who would talk to anybody about religion. And even though his family was not aware at the time, he would sneak over to go to the house of prayer, to hang out with us. But at the same token, he would be talking to us about Jesus. We're talking to him about the leader of the house of prayer. His family thinking that he's getting mixed up in the house of prayer. But what they don't know is that Matt was constantly always talking to all kinds of people about Jesus. And he thought he was real slick. But without people knowing, he was already going around as a somewhat private missionary on Jesus' behalf. But he would go and visit all kinds of denominations, all kinds of different congregations. In his attending with the house of prayer, he didn't join, but he did put his name on roll, I think, years later. Years later. Is that right?
Yes, because one of the brothers in the organization here a long time, I remember, matter of fact, his brother asked me a long time ago, man, you want me to put your name on the road? I said, sure, but I can't do it. Yeah, I got to wait till I get 18, you know.
Because less than 18, remember the leader, Mr. McCullough, and Mr. Madison at the time, they were telling you as a child, if your parents don't agree with what it is that you're doing, always listen to the parents. I have to give them that. They said, listen to your parents, and then when you become of age, then make the decision to do what you did. And he did that. He didn't come because he wanted to be a member of the organization. While he was there, he was still visiting all these other denominations because he simply believed in sharing his testimony about Jesus. But we had all kinds of exciting times because Matt was an individual who get along with everybody, get along with anybody. And so much so that I didn't realize that he was actually best friends with, he has a similar testimony like I did. Me and Kill talked about the Bible study that we did in Texas, and individuals who we had become very, very close to. Matthew, same thing. I didn't realize that he had gotten very, very close to two very, very prominent and very well-known, I'll say, street organized groups. And so there was a time when there was a dispute in the street where some of them came to handle their business and others, rivalry, were not all there. But the individual that stood between what could have been a major issue and a major incident was Matthew. And when one saw Matt and then the others saw Matt, they said, man, wait a minute. I didn't know that you go here. And he just stepped out there. Yeah, man. Yeah. What are y'all doing?
God was what God. I remember you were shaking. I never seen you shake.
How old was I at that time? About what
you
was?
were shaking at a chair because I heard a chair around. You had a horn in your hands, and Sister Joyce Cunningham, they were looking at you. Said, "You all right, Hannah Lewis?"
How
you
old?
were worried. You were shaking. You were moving your feet, tapping your feet, and I could feel the nervous in you. And I was sitting back close to the door because I was that's the only reason why I showed my face so they could all know I was there, and God worked, steered way worked through that. And they were like, man, that's my boy. I didn't know you go to that church. I said, yeah, I go there. So God, and then I told them, I said, he's my cousin. I didn't even know I was going to run into them that same day, that night. It was late on night. I went to their house, and the brother, the one that pulled the gun out, he was cutting my hair. And I didn't know he was holding a gun, but I'd seen his brother there, but I didn't really pay no attention to him. But they said he was the one holding the gun. And in his hand, whatever, he would pull the gun out. And so he confessed to me and told me, he said, but you want to sit down? I said, man, that was wrong what you did. I said, you got to be accountable. I said, man, there was children up there. He said, I didn't mean to. He was smiling. He said, for real, I didn't know. I said, but you was wrong. You won't say. I said, just don't do it again. And since then, I didn't see him no more since. I ain't heard no more. But I do also know his brother had passed. His brother's not here. I don't know where he's at. Some of the guys I ain't seen so long, but I seen few of them. But they had respect when it came to me. They all had respect of me.
It was
it was nobody but the grace of God. When I told them, I said, that's my cousin, they my church family. And see, wherever I felt I went, God was with me. And not only with me, God was with those when I was around. So God had his angel mercy over. You know, I would let them know. I said, we are family. You know, that's my church family. I said, why you would come there and do something crazy, something like that? And that's when Pastor Rick would read a paper about, well, you want to hold a horn instead of the gun. You would think, you know, and I remember the Episcopal, he wrote about that going to be, it was really encouragement to all the young people in the house of prayer.
There was,
basic to the band members.
so that they understand what you're talking about, there was a time, now we're talking about the 80s, okay, 1980s.
Yeah.
And
that was 1989.
And
I remember that. Yeah, that was 1989. I remember like it was yesterday. It was 1989.
And at that time, there were several youth, especially in the inner cities. There was several youth in the community spread around because in the 80s, you were dealing with an epidemic. And this is when crack cocaine had first come out from the early 80s and it spanned into the early 90s before it died down. But during that time, if you're inner city, you deal with the environment that you're in. So we were also members of the House of Prayer, of course. And so we're going to service. And at the time, again, I have to attribute the fact that the House of Prayer was a community center in a way. So even though there's corruption at the top, again, we had no idea about the corruption at the top. And the young people at the bottom, this was back in the time where in the 80s, the House of Prayer, we had young people everywhere. And when there was an event, everywhere. Young, everywhere. And we would travel to meet one another because, of course, you're gaining friendships, you're growing relationships, so that when you travel, people would take you into their homes. We go out to eat. So in the house, in those cities where the houses of prayers were local, every member of the House of Prayer did not always know what was going on outside the House of Prayer. But you, especially young people going to school, your parents are not in school. And you see everything out here. And you have to deal with it. And then on the way back home from school, you have to deal with it. So a lot of our youth got involved in things that they really didn't want to involve themselves in. But that was your environment. And we lived on, when you talk about West Main Street, that was one of the most violent blocks in the city. And it would be nothing for a helicopter to be outside our bedroom shining a light every week.
I remember those days.
We had some, So anyway, Matthew, we did not know that he knew some of the worst, the baddest, the most outlandish, and they knew after coming to the House of Prayer because, again, some of the guys in the House of Prayer at the time on our band had gotten involved with some people outside. And so there was some, arguments from time to time. And if you're living that kind of life, people don't care. They don't care. They're going to make a name for themselves. So my point is that when they came on one Sunday afternoon, after the morning services, because y'all know we have youth services at 5 o'clock. When they came that afternoon, their intent was to do some things. And there was a handful of us at the House of Prayer while they had, was it 2 cars outside? 2 cars. So Matt happened to be there that day. Now, my point is this. Now, by that time, Matthew, you were 17.
Right.
And even back then, remember I think you started visiting the House of Prayer when you were about 11, or 12?
No, it was 12 years old.
12.
It was 12 going on 13. I came to the hospital 1987.
Okay.
86, it was between 86 or 87.
Okay, so then it was later than that. So you were about 15.
That was on the Halloween night. I call it my anniversary. I made that the first anniversary night of me going there. On the Halloween night with you and your brothers.
That's right. That's the night we never bobbed for apples before. We never even knew anything about bobbing for apples.
Sure
and
didn't.
We were teasing people like, well, I'm not bobbing for no apples, dipping my head in no great big basin full of water. And there's, anyway, we would laugh about this, but this was his first night. And from there it took off. Now I brought that up to say that at that time, we would hear Matt even then talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, talking about Jesus, while we were talking about Addie, talking about Addie, talking about Addie, talking about Addie. He had all these other people who knew him all around the city because he would go and visit other churches and consort with everybody. So when he came to the house of prayer, we didn't know any of this stuff, but his intent was coming to the house of prayer. He's talking about Jesus while he's pretending to be there to learn more and more about Addie. Now, he began to have experiences with dreams, but he had his struggles in those dreams. And what I mean is, like the rest of us, we know that at times we had dreams also about the bishops of the house of prayer. But through it all, he was very mindful to not share the things that he saw. And I recall a couple of conversations where he was asking me if this was a cult. Now, this was as a child. I said, a cult? But his conversation with me, again, not trying to be offensive, he would back down, but he laughed. This is like a cult. And I was like, no, it's not no cult. This is Addie this, Addie that. And so from there, he took on and kept coming a little bit more. But he really enjoyed the bands, and he really enjoyed, especially our youth services. So his family's not realizing, the fact that he'd be there with us. Sometimes he'd sneak and come. And my mother would get into it with his mother from time to time. We're cousins, we're related. But they had a mutual respect because his mother knew that my mother was sincere about her service to God. We knew that his mother was sincere because she's been a pastor now. Was it a pastor at that time?
Who, my mother?
Yeah.
She was an evangelist. She's an evangelist.
Evangelist.
Some people on the street be calling her a pastor, but she's an evangelist. She had a ministry on WDIH. She will do broadcasts at 5. But I don't know if she still come on it, but she always did broadcast radio. She was more for the youth ministry. She always did reach missionary youth all through the years, the kids, young people, bring them in our home and to rent buildings or schools to have a function of the youth ministries.
And always have been very religious. Her and your dad, Benjamin. Now this is Benjamin and Mary McBride.
Benny and Frances McBride.
Frances McBride, I'm sorry. I always did that, called her by your sister's name, Maria. Right, Marie.
Yeah, that's my sister.
Yeah, and I always did that. But Miss Frances. But they've always been religious to the extent that everywhere they go, they're going to talk about Jesus. They're going to talk about Jesus. And beautiful family because, again, their foundation was nothing but the Bible, right? So at that time, we would have arguments and Matthew would laugh. But our arguments would be comical because I would go to visit Matt. Sometimes I'm talking, and it was all in respect and love. Sometimes his dad would talk to me, Joseph, come here. And we get talking about the Bible. His mother would talk to me, we get talking about the Bible. But do you remember the time when I challenged her to go outside And
And
let's
I
see.
remember, she said, oh, no, you don't. And my baby brother Mark still remembers, too. She said, oh, no, you don't. Let's get in the house. Hold on, let me get my Bible. Hold on, stay right there. Oh, no, you're not.
I
You were
challenged
trying
her.
to tell her. I remember, that was the thing. And you know, and now it's catching up on me. But you know what? Now I realize God is real because I had repented. I said, God, forgive me for lying, for what I've done in the past. Or lying. I
But
didn't need to,
what
you
was
know.
comical, I challenged her to come outside. I said, okay, you pray to your God, and I'm gonna pray to my God. And this is the Elijah challenge, right? I've done this a
Y'all,
few times.
I wasn't saying this to all y'all orders. I didn't know no better. Remember, I was young. I
Yeah.
want to get it clear to those, you
Oh,
know.
absolutely. Even when your mother looks back, she'll laugh about
Right.
this, right? Because now
Mhm.
she
She said,
knows.
what she said now, she said, I've been trying to tell him that for a long time, so he just now opened his eyes. She was rocking in her chair, just sitting there rocking in her chair, smiling. She
And
said, man, I've been trying to get y'all see, but no, you weren't. You sacrificed and left your family and didn't even go to your grandma's wedding. You went to go see Sweet Daddy Grace. And it was always doing my face because I was excited and I wanted to see Bishop McCullough, you know. You
because of
know,
all
back in
this.
those days, I put him first, and you a witness. I put
Oh
the
yeah, I'm gonna
leaders
tell them
first.
about that. All this time, because again, I was so adamant, and my mother's faith was so strong. As I shared,
Mm-hmm.
we would go walking. So
Right.
Matthew had never seen anybody do anything like
So,
that, where
sure
you're
did.
literally getting out on the highway to walk to get to where this man is. So he was like, I need to see this for myself. So, like, well, there's nothing to it. We're just going to be walking. He
But
said, well,
I
can
was
I
kind of
come?
excited at the same time, but I was scared a little bit. Go
So,
ahead, tell them.
so, before I go there, when I challenged his mother to come outside, she talked me down. And out of respect, I don't want to disrespect anybody, especially at that age. I was at that time about 16. But
Mm-hmm.
she talked me down. She went inside. And I'm glad because I look back and my faith was just that high, that strong. But at the same token, I didn't recognize the fact that she was literally walking in a relationship with God that I didn't recognize. Because if you not a member of the house of prayer and you don't know nothing about Addie, no, God ain't gonna answer your prayer. And that's where my head was. But her relationship with the Lord, her husband's relationship with the Lord, they are so in tune with God that throughout their
Mm-hmm.
lifetimes, their family, everybody who knows this family, including when they talked to my mother, they always did it from a place of love. It was never from a place of hate. It was never from a position of y'all crazy to follow that man. None of that. It was only to have the discussion.
I want to share this one
Yeah.
word because y'all.
No, you're good.
She said one good word about your mom, and I still hear it in my head. She said, "All I can say, I give it to Miss Rosalie. I can say one thing about that woman. She true to her religion. She said, where I see her walking, and cause we was all watching y'all at the window. Y'all were walking to the house of prayer.
Every night.
Yeah, from Oneida Avenue to the house of prayer. She said, I could say one thing about her. She true to her religion. She said, not only this, her, now, I speak for Joseph, but the rest of them, what you talking about, you already know what Mama would say about John David.
Yeah, my brothers. They got.
Cause they always stayed in trouble when they was young.
Yeah.
But she said one thing about Joseph, I give it to him because he followed his mom, he listened to his mom. But man, you don't listen to me. But she would throw them and smile at me. You don't. She said, yeah, sometimes you listen to me, but you see, Joseph, he's true to his religion. He's sticking by his mom. He's following his mom, and that's a sample. She said that's one thing I can say about them. But with that, with Grace, I can't get with that. But now last time I tried to get her to pray, she tried to get your mom to touch and agree, pray for Miss Ann. You remember Miss Ann when she was in the hospital,
Yeah.
Kenny asked for mama.
Yeah.
And mama was offended because she came on with her and she said, man, I'd rather your friend's mom, Miss Rosalie, I was trying to touch and agree. Let's pray. By us both being Christians, let's pray together with her. She told me this for the house of prayer only to pray. And that really, man, I did this for you. And I was so young, I was lost, confused. And I didn't hear my mom talk like that. She said, I did this for you because you told me to go to the hospital and visit her. And
Yeah, it really bothered his
it
mother
bothered mom.
because,
But she forgave.
yeah,
I got the most fact that,
absolutely. But see, she didn't understand how indoctrinated, and this is what indoctrination does. Indoctrination will drive you so far away from normalcy to where you shut yourself off from everybody. And in our mind, I don't care who you are in the world, the House of Prayer doctrine is that if you're not a House of Prayer member, you're not going to heaven. That's the doctrine. If you're not a member of the House of Prayer, you don't know God. That's the doctrine. Now, we know today that that is absolutely not true. We know today that there is no house of God today. There is no man that God is using the way that he did with the men in the Old Testament.
We got to be honest, we got the Holy Spirit. We got the power.
Absolutely.
We are the body of Christ. We the body of the Holy Temple. And God give us all. It said, whoever come, let him come, willing to do the Father's word. And those who believe.
And what he just said is what he had been saying even as a child. And this is what his mother and his father instilled in their children. His little brother, Mark, is now
he's a
minister as well.
Preaching, yeah. Join the ministry, yes.
The entire family is Bible-based. Now, again, talking about his faith. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go back to Miss Francis. It bothered her that we were so indoctrinated that my mother at the time, she's not going to pray with anybody if you're not a member of the House of Prayer. Now, that shows how sincere she was in the House of Prayer, not knowing, of course, what Miss Francis knows. So it bothered Miss Francis because of her love, his mother, her love for my mother, and knowing that if you're in the truth, well, you're not going to not pray with other believers because we both believe in God and his son. So why would you not pray with me? And that's what disturbed Miss Francis. And she's now, as well as her husband, are ecstatic to know that we, myself, my mother, are no longer under the belief systems of the indoctrination of the House of Prayer. So Matthew at the time was already trying to tell all of us, including other people, about Jesus. And he eventually began to also travel with us. Do you remember the first time you walked? He walked with us on one occasion. And we were laughing because when we walk, we just walk carrying our bags.
Yeah, like, y'all were like, what's up with the umbrella? When I was carrying the umbrella, they were like, you carried a whole, you carried a big old suitcase.
He brought a lot of stuff, not knowing, because we already knew how to pack when we're going to walk. So we would pack light. You got to walk. We were 400 or 500 miles. But he had a suitcase, an umbrella, a bottle or something. A bottle of water. And he's tired because... So he would walk behind us, and then we would catch him. You know, he'd be hitchhiking, and he'd tell us, no, y'all go ahead. I'm right here behind you. But he was trying to hitchhike so we wouldn't see him because he wanted somebody, he wanted somebody to pick us up quickly.
That's right. He ain't lying about that.
So,
but God was with us, though.
Yeah. He went through this trip. We were crying every time we thought about it. He talked about his feet hurt, his legs hurt, his back hurt, his arms hurt. He was. So, again, this is a credit to my mother's faith. I would have never been out there, but I didn't want my mother out there. Sometimes my brothers, as he said, John and
I
David.
was 19 at time, and I was walking with y'all.
Ah,
No, I was I was like 19, going on my 20s. Then, because I was working at the hospital, it was in the 90s, around 90. It
and
was like 1990.
now by that
It wasn't
time,
that was not 91, but it was in 1990. I remember.
John and David had already moved out. My sister had moved out. Shirley, she's down in Florida now. But everybody knew our family was just so very popular and well known, not just because, we were in the house of prayer, but we had extended family that would also come back and forth. But the point is that John and David and Shirley, sometimes they would walk too, so they understood. But since I was the youngest, they're now getting up in age. I would, make sure that I'm with my mother. And this is where I acquired my faith by watching her, seeing things with her. While people, say what you got to say, no big deal, but this is our relationship with the Lord. So Matt took, I think, one of those trips, if not two. He might have went a second time. Was it 2 trips or just the one?
What, the walking?
Yes.
I did the very first one. I did, that was Norfolk.
I'm going to Norfolk, Virginia.
Yeah, you sacrifice. You stay home because you let me go in your place because you wanted me to see the bishop for the first time, which I never got a chance to see him. I heard a lot about. I dream of him, but I always wanted to meet this man, Bishop McCullough.
But I mean, when we walked, do you remember how many?
You stay home, but Philly, I walked.
Oh, Norfolk was when you went with my mother. It was just you two.
Yes, on the trailway. We went on the trailway.
Okay, they took the bus.
Yeah, we took the bus there and we walked back.
Okay, and see, I didn't know about that, but that's why when he said sacrificing the trip, it was to allow him to go instead of me.
To be strong, to get to know the man.
Right. Because again, he just talked about Jesus all the time. So I said, well, you need to know who Mr. McCullough is. So this history, it goes back, and he got to the point where he was sincere too, in trying to learn who this man is.
And I was following it, but I didn't look at him bad. I kept saying I like this man because I like some of his teaching. Because I always like manpower. I'm well known. I always love manpower. When I was young, I had issue about women should be teaching. That was my number one belief. Because my uncle them was a church guy. They believe the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what made me get close to fallen Bishop McCullough. And I not only like him, I also like him because he was a late night bird. It was like going to club. He was a midnight bird, and it was so packed. It was like you going to a concert or club. That's how I looked at it. And Mom always said, what I learned about Memphis, he likes to cite me. He likes to sing. He likes the crowd of people. My mom, when mother know their child well, they're not lying. They tell the truth about their kids. And what they know about their child.
And because of that relationship, especially with his mother, there was a lot of concerns that she had, of course, naturally, right? She's an evangelist. Her husband was also a pastor.
No, he was a minister. He was a pastor. Everybody thought he was a minister.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was a deacon, then he became a minister, and Mom, she was always a evangelist.
Now, we're talking about, again, spanning across 40 years. So this shows you that his parents have been Bible, religious.
And we had Bible study at our home every night. Our whole family. We had to stop everything to read the Bible and pray for one another and give our testimony. It starts at home.
And see, that's the credit that goes back to Miss Francis and Ben. And the family was a very, very tight-knit family because of the practices and the teachings of their parents. Now, again, we didn't understand that because we're House of Prayer. So she would be concerned about Matt because Matt is traveling with us from time to time, but she knew no matter what, he's going to be okay as long as he's with us. So then came the time when, after all these years we had been gone from Salisbury, somebody had told Matt, somebody that had a gift of prophecy. Did they call you on the phone or did they come to see you?
They called me on the phone.
Called them out of nowhere on the phone to tell you what again?
And it was so real. It was real. It was deep in my heart, just going to my chest.
And what did they tell you?
They said, I see there's going to be someone you grew up with from your childhood, and he's in a state. I don't know who he is, but he's coming. He's getting ready to come to you. I don't know who you are. He's coming to you soon. I'm looking at between 2 or 3 months. He's getting ready to call you, and he's coming to you, and he's going to take you far away out. I see a trip y'all going on. It's someone you was very connected, you was very close to. And she said, but I'm just here to encourage you, and I want to pray with you. He said, because I know God's going to send someone back in your life. Y'all had that great connection. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to think. I can't gas it in my mind. I was like, he said, but it's someone closer to you. But I see him coming from a long way. He's going to call you. He's going to ask you, did you would like to go on a trip? And then a couple of weeks later, God revealed, and you called me, asked me, do I would like to go to Charlotte.
And see,
I mean, not Charlotte, the Miami.
Oh, Miami. That's when we went to.
You was in New York.
Yeah. Now this
was a young prophet, gifted.
They didn't know me. I didn't know them. Out of the blue, they had called him to tell him this. They knew
and
nothing.
He said a male. Oh, I forgot. He said a male. He ain't said no female. He said this is a young male God. It's coming to pick you up. Y'all had a close connection. Y'all grew up together, and that was you.
And mind you, at the time, Matt was going through a few things where, to get his head together, because when you have a relationship with the Lord, everybody's not going to understand you, and your intent is to do right by the Word, do right by the Lord, walk before Him. But people in this world, they're not going to understand you, and from time to time, you get to a point where it feels like anxiety or depression, because you get to a place where you feel like you're alone and there's nobody who understands, Well, whatever the case may be, during one of those moments is when he got that call. And that's why the trip was so important to him, that it's like an escape, going away to just get my thoughts together and enjoy.
There you go.
But I didn't know anything about this. So when I had time, this was another year that I had time, and I called, listen, you feel like going to Miami? We went to, there was a city just below Miami. It was an exclusive resort. But just, they had things there that was very comfortable. But we stayed there because it was within a 40-minute drive to Miami. It was less expensive, and so we did that. But I called. That's when he told me about the phone call from this individual who's prophesied. Now, we went there for 4 days and came back. But the one I wanted to talk about specifically was the Charlotte trip. Because on that trip, when I picked him up, is when the hurricane was making its way inland. And he said, don't you know there's a hurricane? And I'm still coming. I said, yeah, but the Lord going to take care of us, and we're going to Charlotte, and we're just going to enjoy services. And I was driving the minivan, the Town and Country. So picking him up is just the two of us, and I'm going for it. But we didn't see the hurricane as it had come in, but we could see the damage along the road. But everywhere we were, nothing. No winds, no lightning, we would just get little flurries of rain, but it would go away the entire trip. Now, what made this so significant is I noticed that the sky would be pitch black, not just dark, but pitch black. And we came to a point where a tree had just fallen across Highway 95. A huge, huge tree. And I'm sitting there like, oh, Lord, we got to get by this tree. But as soon as I said, so what are we going to do now? Turn around? We couldn't turn around because there's no way to turn around. I said, well, the Lord going to fix it. I mean, we're getting to Charlotte. When I said that, he said, oh, what is that? On the opposite side appeared a man with a truck where he had a long conveyor with that strap, and he wrapped it around the tree, and he pulled the tree back that very moment with his truck, just the first portion of the tree, and it opened up 2 lanes. And I just said, see? And at that time, he began to say, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is crazy. And I just went on, and they took care of the tree. As we were going, his mother kept calling, how y'all doing? Y'all okay? Because the hurricane had come in. And while we were on the road, we noticed there was different cars parked on the side, what we thought was parked on the side. And as we were getting through Virginia, do you remember we went across a patch of water? Do you remember along that patch, I stopped because we thought there was an accident. The water was so high that it has...
Even over the bridge. You remember when we was on Chesapeake Tunnel Bridge, there was water waves going over the bridge. That's what I read. I thought the dam was like moving. When I was in your band, you remember, you could feel the winds pushing us. Like when you was driving.
The wind was swaying the van. And he had his eyes closed and started praying.
Oh, you still remember God? You remember.
So,
yes, I did. I was praying hard.
So,
and I told you, put on some church music, put on house prayer, and you said, if I put that on, it's going to make me good.
I told him to listen to
I
the...
don't care. I want to have some dance to get me in the mood spirit, you know. I never forgot it.
What was I playing? Jazz? I think I had jazz on.
R&B and a jazz, but you didn't want to hear no house of prayer band.
So,
you want to hear, because when I was here house of prayer band, you know, that's why, the reason why I went to house of prayer, because I like the bands. And when I said band, at first I want to shout out to all my band brothers out there playing. I'm encouraging you, hold your head up. What the situation is, you still are somebody. Don't let nobody say you ain't. If you feel like you reject right, you ain't. It's always hope. You know you can still keep playing your horn somewhere else, wherever. Just play your horn. But now I was saying, I love band. Because band gets me in the moods. It gets me in the good spirit mood. You know, it gives me hope. I always liked the band because I was a trumpet player.
He wanted the band music on because while the storm is going on, in his mind is like, the Lord not going to be pleased with us. And you're right. I had R&B and jazz playing. Because when
I wanted to focus on
he wanted the Lord's music, he wanted the band music. So we know now today, but at that time I was hysterical. I was crying. So I went on to put a House of Prayer band music in, but he thought that, you know, I was telling people whenever you're driving long distances, if you listen to House of Prayer tracks or what have you, you will get sleepy because you're accustomed to hearing it all the time. But if you listen to something that you don't listen to a lot of, well, remembering that song, it'll keep you alert because you're remembering the moments that you first heard those songs. And now you can get to your destination. So, but when we got to this one part in Virginia, we thought it was an accident. So I pulled over. And come to find out it wasn't an accident. something had happened, and the water had come up so high that a car had been submerged in the water. And the people looked at us, and I'm looking at their expressions because they're looking at us like, who are you and what in the world? Because I looked around, and was it about 3 cars that were submerged in water?
Mm-hmm. And you remember we ran to all the cows? It was out
Oh,
in
that's
the
coming
middle
up.
of oh my
They
God,
were
all the milk
submerged.
cows. I'm saying milk cows.
Now, these cars were submerged. And I mean, water was up to the door on 2 of them. And up to one, you could just see this much of the roof of the car. But people
Yeah,
were
they were
looking
going
at
all
us.
the way up. Mm-hmm.
People looking at us because the van went straight across.
Everybody it was stuck, and God was with us and kept it was guiding us, telling us what exit. Cuckoo angel was telling us where to go and where not to go.
The water had gotten so high ahead of us to where now
Mm-hmm.
I see, after I parked, I can see, okay, there's too much water. So I just trucked a little bit and got up to where there was a turn. And without coming up on the GPS, Spirit led me to turn off on this old road, this country road, and another turn and another turn. And I'm not too comfortable because I have no idea where we are. The GPS wasn't working, and we're in these back roads. But I'm seeing that the roads, the water was not that deep. I opened the door and I could see the bottom. It's maybe a few inches. So I'm slowly going, and it came to
Mm-hmm.
the end of a road, and we look up and there's something moving in the dark. And now I got to try to back out. So I'm backing up, and something on the side of the van and something else moving in the dark. And I'm waiting for my eyes to adjust. And y'all know how we are, right? So when my eyes adjusted, we saw these great big gigantic cows had come up by the fence line, and they're right there by the van. And Matt said, are those cows? And sure enough, about 7 or 8
Yeah.
cows lined up. And I'm thankful that it's not anything other than cows. So I backed out. I went on around. There was a dirt road that led to another road. And I just prayed, Spirit, let us go on down. Eventually, it led us around the interstate where all that water was. And we got around it within maybe 20, 30 minutes. And now we're back on the interstate again. And Matt's like, oh my God, how in the world? Oh, this is crazy. I said, yeah, we're going to get to Charlotte. And his mother was calling, and he prayed again. And this is when I start laughing because while he's praying, he's not telling me he's praying. He's acting like he's going to sleep, but he's really praying. Because his mother kept saying, where are y'all at? Where are y'all at? I see the storm is here. I see the storm is there. But that's when he told me afterwards, no wind, no rain, the skies became clearer again. And we began to get into North Carolina. That's when he told me that he had prayed for that storm.
Yeah, so it did.
And
And I was going through it, but that was a mighty thing because I was praying real hard, and I said, God, this had mercy on us. That's why I was saying I want to hear something possible in my head because I don't know if God want to take me out or anything, anything. I was thinking it might be our last day, that's why I want to hear something good. When I go, that was in my head back at the time, and that's why I was praying so much. I was messing because the way things were looking, the way the story, and I said that I got to be careful what I ask God because I was going to, it was just, I was so mad with certain ones, and I couldn't share a lot, but I was mad at that time, and I was praying, and it's not the first time when I was praying and asking God. When I asked God to show me a sign, He showed me a sign one time. I couldn't share it because everybody that strong. But there's some people, I'm talking to those that had that commitment, relationship with God. They
Mm-hmm.
will, you know, you will understand. God's, when you ask a God, God will show you a secret, and He can show you signs. Those had a strong belief, faith, you know, and that's what I was asking God. I said, but don't let it be no harm people. Just saw us, just to get the world attention, to get all the church attention,
And that's
you
the
know.
prayer that you prayed for the hurricane you're talking about now,
hmm
right?
Because I was mad with individual in the yes, and I was mad with certain individual in my not only this in the what the UHOP, it was in my local home church. It was a spiritual warfare going on, and I was frustrated. I was having tears down my eye, and I was praying, and that's when I was angry. I was praying, I said, Lord, set aside to your people, you know, even to me, so send us where we can all wake up, just do something to shake this earth, and you know, I don't mean anyone, you know, I just ask God to wake us up so we can learn from and let it be a sample, you know,
Right.
where others can learn from it. You know, it was just in the church.
And
And now the worst is what we see every day on TV compared to what I asked for. Look what's going on. Go ahead, Elder Lord.
well, I didn't realize that the name of the hurricane was Matthew until
And
after
I
the
didn't even
fact.
know it was going to be in my name.
Yeah, I
And that's
called to tell him.
amazing.
Because again, I'm not interested. I don't watch TV. I don't keep up with news, and I was just busy, you know, taking care of what I needed to take care of in New York.
And that scared me because when I prayed, then 2 nights bones, and the nurse lady was saying, "Oh, I see a Hurricane Matthew popping up," and that's what my heart was going through my chest, and I got quiet. Mom called me, laughed. She said, "Matthew, that's what your storm named right after you." I
Now,
said, "Mom, you know, I prayed about that, and I got to be careful when I ask God."
now,
Because, go ahead.
well, here's the thing. I just pulled this up for just so that y'all will see that I'm not making this up, right? Um, I just asked the question, and it came up on Google. Okay, now it shows. All right, and I'm gonna scroll down, and you can see that this was in 2016 when it made landfall. Okay, right? Y'all see, 2016 it made landfall. This was when I came to pick him up, and we went down to Charlotte in 2016. And this was, let me see, what month is this? Um, one second. So, okay, it's pulling it up now. October, early October 2016. And we know that early October is when convocation is going on every single year. It's always the first week of October. Just like right now, this is the first week coming up. October 1st is always somewhere in convocation week in Charlotte. And I just pulled it up. And once again, I'm going to show you so that y'all see. Again, I try to be as transparent as I can with everything. And you see here, Hurricane Matthew, which occurred in early October 2016, that's when we went to Charlotte. Now, it says that the storm caused fatalities in the United States, including, it says, 25 deaths in North Carolina. And I want to pull up this picture. And again, this is so that you can see what happened. And this was based on this young man who's on the phone right now, here's a picture from where it started to where it ended. Hurricane Matthew, from September 28th through October the 9th, 2016. And according to the news, it says that it cost 546 lives. And you see it went from down Georgia and Florida, and it covered all the way up to, I think, Norfolk and just above, right? Hurricane Matthew. Now, so his mother kept asking, how we doing? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? And she said, because you're with Joseph, no problem. Because you're with Joseph, it's not a problem. I know that you guys, he's going to be safe, because we've always taken trips together. And then the one where we went down in Florida, the name...
Miami.
Yeah, Miami, but where we stayed at, that resort where we stayed.
We stayed in South Carolina on the way back. We stayed in Comfort, Queens.
But at the resort.
Miami.
No, at the resort before we got there.
But you said, I don't know too much about it, but you said it was like a celebrity area. It was in the north part. It was in the north.
Northern Miami.
Was on the north.
Yeah, the northern portion of Miami. We're about 40 minutes before we get to Miami.
It was in the north.
It's on the tip of my tongue. But the point is
it
that...
was 45 minutes away.
Right. And the point is that when we got there, I didn't realize that the name of the hurricane was actually Matthew until I got into Charlotte. But I forgot. I'd never even mentioned it to him until I got back home, and I called him and I asked him, do you realize that they actually named the hurricane? Do you know what they named the hurricane? He said, no, what? I said, you haven't heard? He said, no, what? They named the hurricane Matthew. He was like, really? Oh, okay. I'm like, no. Matthew, you're the one that prayed that prayer about 2 weeks ago. And all of a sudden a hurricane, and you had nothing to do with this. They named the hurricane Matthew. I mean, it's just, there is no coincidence. But I wanted to invite him on to share that testimony, to share some of his background, and to ask what you think now of what it is that we're doing, now that you see that there's been a transition and a change, and we have the channel up where people in the House of Prayer can now speak out and openly about their experiences, about all the good times we had. We had some beautiful times in the House of Prayer. The only thing that I keep drawing attention to is the corruption and the false doctrine. Other than that, we should be fellowshipping. The things are awesome when we come together and do everything in the name of the Lord, in the spirit of peace, unity, and love. This is what we're supposed to be doing. This is what fellowshipping is all about, so that we can encourage one another to continue to walk in before the Lord, to walk in his word, and to be a strength and a motivating factor to each other, so that we can be used together as a unit to help even other people turn to him. So these are all good things. The only thing that we're looking to do is to clean this mess up, get rid of the corruption, get rid of the false doctrines, and focus our attention to our one and only Heavenly Father and our Lord and Savior, his only begotten Son. And once we do that, everybody would flock to the organization, not the United House of Prayer for All People, but the organization at that time, because it'll simply be a community type Christian fellowship center, not based on Christianity, because even that term Christianity has gotten away from the teachings of the word. right? Everybody today will claim that name no matter what they're doing, how they living, how they walking before people. So the name has become common, but this is not the lifestyle of the disciples. When you talk about Christianity, they didn't live like what people do today. So again, there's a lot that we need to relearn. There's a lot that we need to reteach. With all of that said, what do you think of the changes, what's going on now in the House of Prayer, and with the channel that people can now come and take part in? What do you think about all of this?
When I think of it,
Yes, sir.
I think most people need to look at reality and look around, look at their kids and their grandchildren, even their nieces, whoever, their loved ones. Look at their future, what we could do to change, a reality of, because what I'm seeing, like me, my ministry is more like on the street, what different church community, what we do, we start, what I'm learning, what I'm seeing today, a lot of people is going through, is suffering, is needing, because, that some churches can't do to help. What we can do to help people, because there's people looking for love, looking for someone to talk to, because I'm seeing so much homicide and so much corruption of people snapping and in the churches, even in the U-Haul. I know there's some stuff going on in U-Haul, but there's people all around the world. What we could do to change to help people.
Right.
We have to let them know God's love, and it's never too late. If you don't know Jesus, get to know Jesus, and that's my encouragement to them. And we got to find a way to. It's all about souls in the heart, and we have to teach one another. Because most people's not getting that teaching. All they know is for giving, but most people's not getting a lot of word because time is clicking. There's people that need love. They need more encouragement. That's what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing today.
And
because where I was going at this other church, it was a corruption there. Church I was going to. I never seen nothing like this. I think I shared with you. That's why I tell people I don't know what I'm running into every day. I don't know what I'm gonna get into. And all I know, I was in a good mind spirit. The music was getting good, and this young lady was just yelling. The minister, he's very gifted. He's a visitor from out of town. He was whispering, minister to her ear, and he didn't know. And she didn't know how to take him. She went off and cussed at the prophet. Said, "You don't know me." He said, she just started, I saw possessed jump in her. You see, I experienced seeing demons. And the next thing I know, the demon jumped in her and took control of her body. And the guest pastor, he didn't know, all he could do this wave. He didn't say nothing. He had a express look on his face that I'm done. He said, "Get her back." He just said, I'm done. I can't do nothing because the enemy is taking over. And so me and this brother, we had to go grab, and I asked her not. I said, "This is not the place." Then she started cussing. Then she was getting ready to fight these girls at the altar. And so we had to hurry up and pick her up and walk her to church so nicely. We tried to usher her out. She didn't want to do it, so we had to pick her up and said, this is not the way. And then I wanted to pray with her, but then someone was trying to tell me, "No, leave it alone." But I said, what happened to the power of prayer? That's where you're supposed to pray. When you see an enemy attacking, we're supposed to stand on God's word to pray. Mm-hmm. That's what Jesus did in the Bible then. And so what I'm like in the U-Haul, my encouragement in the U-Haul, I don't know a lot, but I hear a lot. But I want to say this to the U-Haul young people, even to the pastors, the ministers, whoever you is, just know God's with you. If you feel you need someone to talk to, tune to Elder Lewis or to someone. If you don't feel comfortable to Elder Lewis, go to somebody you can trust. Or if you can't trust nobody, get on your knees and talk to God. Don't, because I see homicide spirit, like you want to take your life away. You know, I know you can't do it. That's what it happened. When I see you, I see me. I wasn't an elder. I wasn't a pastor, but I fellowship with a lot of different denominations. And my mom always carried me, don't you get yourself into something you can't get out of. She said when I went to Enum back, she was going to Enum in the 70s. She kept saying I didn't join. She said I didn't join. She said I fellowship. And so I learned my spirits from her.
Right. To just go and visit.
Yeah, she didn't get involved with activity because she said when you get involved with something, you don't know what you're getting into. She said she followed Apostle Marvin Johnson. She was evangelist then. She wasn't even a pastor. God called her to move to the Eastern Shore. That was her calling. She was working for the DuPonts in Palm Beach, Florida. She lived in Wilmington. She was from Charlotte, Western Shore, but she moved to Flower Mountain near Chrisfield, and she met the DuPonts in Wilmington. And the DuPont had the beach home in they had a beach home in Palm Beach, Florida. And so on the winter vacation, they would go down Florida, stay for a couple of months. Then they would come back home in the summer to Wilmington, and they would take Pastor Johnson. She was a housekeeper, and she was a cook chef. So they would take her down there with the cook, and then her husband, he was the chauffeur driver back in those early 60s. And then when she got tired of it, and right now she's still living. She's 101 years old. And because of her obedience and sacrifice, she made the commitment with God. She told the DuPonts, I'm going to make it short. She said, God called me to preach. I got to do work. I can't no longer, I hate to leave you. I know you've been there for me, but I have to do God's work. And he took it hard. He took the fence and he got mad because he was so used to Marvin Johnson, Apostle Marvin Johnson, being there as the maid, the cook and all that. And he said, I don't believe God called no woman. And he said, I don't believe a woman preach. He said, even if you go and have your church and everything, I already know what y'all gonna do. Y'all gonna have that wine, them crackers. I know that comedian. Y'all said it's comedian. He made comment, and she said, I ain't gonna comment, but I'm just letting you know. I'm about to leave you, and I'm going to God's word. And that's when she came to Eastern Shore, my mom was the very first member. She followed under her. And God used my mom to help her get buildings, every buildings they rent until they got the man that built our home. You remember that our house got built?
Yeah.
That same man that built our house, that's the same man that built our home church down the street from my house. God used my mom to cut my pastor. There was a man from Philly had told Apostle Johnson, said, I see a short woman's going to be going to the bank with you. I don't know, but God going to use that same short woman. I don't know who she is. He's going to use her to help to get you a building, to find your building. Then he's going to turn around and use that same woman again to help to get you a church. And that's what happened.
That was prophesied before that happened, right?
Yeah, that was prophesied. And Bishop didn't know it. And I'm a witness why I'm more and more talking about it. She talked about it so much, and I was the only one at the family went to Wilmington with her.
Now, I asked that question because the scripture talks about how Israel had prophets, those people who prophesied many different things, whatever it was that the Lord would show them, whatever it is they were seeing, whether it's in a vision, in a dream, or whether it was just simply revealed to them. This is how those things were in the scripture. So individuals coming to him and prophesying about something. They didn't read it somewhere. They didn't get a phone call. There was no notification that was sent to them. They got a revelation and they shared it. This is how prophesying works. When we talk about the house of prayer, the leader being a prophet, well, the problem there is the leader hasn't prophesied anything. And
the prophecy, when we were growing up, we believe in. I still do believe in prophecies. I ain't said it, I do believe in true prophecies. But now it's hard to believe in prophecy because you got a lot of internets now. But at that time, wasn't no social internet. You know.
Right.
It wasn't none of all of that. Nobody. I'm a witness. That was prophets come from a long thousands of miles away.
And the fact of the matter is, what you just said is what I want to touch on. Individuals with this gift can come from anywhere. But
Right.
for the house of prayer, what they're teaching still, as when we were first brought in, how many people do you think, now we're talking about a mission. How many people do you think on a Sunday morning we'd have there at Salisbury, 903 Lake Street? Was that 903?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, 903 Lake Street. It was this building, just a wooden building. But how many people on a Sunday morning? We might be looking at what, 40, 50 people?
Around that time.
Maybe.
When Rico was here, we had a good crowd of members. But I mean, in the early time when I first came, y'all had more than that. Y'all had a lot. Even when the Max family was there, it was a whole lot. It was even all, because now it's all the old churches dying out, all the old members. I'm talking about the old body, the senior citizens. Like, and that's what made the church, the senior citizens.
And what was going on then, or there, when he says how people have died out, is going on all over the place. All around the country, people are struggling in the United House of Prayer with membership. And even...
And I want to share, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
And I want to share a speaker of struggling. I'm glad you said that because I forgot. There was one member in Salisbury. She was a working hard woman. And you know her well. Her name was Sister Alice. You remember Sister Alice? She used to walk and ride a bike.
Yep. Right.
And it was she gave so much. My heart just got so close to her. And I was like, do anybody remember her? But, now her memory is gone. She don't know nobody. She don't even remember me. And they brought tears a little bit down my eyes. And because I went and visited her, the Spirit was telling me, go to the nurse home. I don't know if she's still living. But my assignment was go to the hospital, go to the nursing home. So I went to the hospital first to pray for, and I didn't know what I was getting into. And this lady had cancer. I'm getting ready to get to what Sister Jones. Mm-hmm. So the lady had cancer. She came straight to me. And she said, I'm dying. She said, I need someone to talk to. She said, sir, I know I don't know you, but I see you dressed up. When you go to church, can you pray for me? I said, you know what, matter of fact, I can pray with you right now. And she said, you would? I said, I pray right now. I said, just put your hands up. And I was ashamed about it. I know I've been through a lot, but I told her, just put your hands up in the air. And she said, and I told her, don't you believe in God to heal them? I can't speak everything, but I could ask him. I could give him answer requests for you, and you got to do the rest. Right. But my more important is, I want to ask you, do you know Jesus? She said, no. But you want to get to know her, and I start ministering to her. And she gave her heart to Christ when I prayed with her. And I don't know where she at, but I think I ran into her again. she came back to me because when I prayed with, after I prayed with her, and she was just still crying. And then she starts slowing down, like tears on. She said, "Can I hug you before you leave?" I just want to say thank you. And I said, "You okay and everything?" She said, "Nah, I'm really hungry. I ain't ate nothing. I'm about to go home, fix me something." I said, "You know what? It's the treat is on me." I said, "Come on, let's go in here. What do you want?" She said, "Anything you want." I said, "You want a double cheeseburger and fries?" Oh, they got grilled ham and cheese. She said, "I'll take a double cheeseburger and fries." There you go. And I paid for it. And then I ran into some members from different churches. And I said, "Lord, I think I was being touched because I didn't know they were sitting there watching me the whole time. When I was praying for this lady, I said, God, I thank you for the witness. I thank you for sending somebody public watching because I didn't know. I said, at least I did something good, you know. And there was a pastor, and I didn't know the pastor and their family. And they was happy, we was greeting, and they was like, "I saw you outside, and I didn't want to run." I said, "You good?" I said, "That was God's doing." You know, I knew he sent me over here for a reason. I'm glad, because my mom was feeling church. My mom was feeling to go out minister to someone, so I went to the hospital and ministered to someone, the patient. Then I went to nursing home, across the street from the hospital.
And this was with, you said
Well,
Sister...
Sister Jones.
Okay.
From the house of UHOP, the house of prayer.
Right.
And I just, my heart was just so laying closer to her. Because Ella Smith will always tell me, "Go see, check up on her."
Now, what he's talking about is the fact that we have people who come through the house of prayer all the time. This is an individual who is very, very faithful, very committed, who could not get to the house of prayer because she'd gotten up in age. Something happened because of her. When it comes to seniors, sometimes they can't drive, even though they have a car, because they don't get a license based on their vision. They can't see certain distance or are blurred. But Sister Jones would be so committed and dedicated that she would ride a bike to service. These are the types of people who was committed and dedicated to what they were doing in the house of prayer. So he's talking about this because since she got to a place where she can no longer attend and she went into a nursing home, no visitation, nobody to stop by, no one going to see her, no one going to talk to her. And that too is a very big issue and a problem throughout the organization, because especially when you're dealing with an individual's organization where the people have given so much and given and given and given and given, but nothing coming back, this is a huge concern. So what we're talking about on the channel and what it is that we're doing will hopefully change the scope of all of these ordeals and situations. As we get ready to come to a close, was there anybody else that you wanted to reach out to, or anything else you wanted to bring to the attention or touch on or talk about? Because right now the House of Prayer in Salisbury has been the one that we attended. That one's been knocked down, and there's a brand new one that's been built. But that was, how long ago was it that House of Prayer was built?
That was built in the 90s. It was 90s. I think it was 96, 95. That was not too long ago.
That's right.
Bishop Madison.
Yeah.
But I was working at the hospital at the time. And it wasn't too long when Bishop Madison became a bishop. They was built in the 90s, in the middle of the 90s, 94, 95.
Yeah.
I think.
I was there for that dedication. I forgot. And this was when he was saying, now, I know that wall is white, but he was getting ready to make a call for elders. And he said, I know that that wall is white. I know that's a white wall, but I need men behind me. That when I say that wall is black, that they're going to get up and say, yes, sir, Addie, that wall is black. Remember that? When he said that, and I was, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was right there.
I came in a little late. I heard somebody say something about that. I came in a little late because my boss wouldn't even let me off early, so I got a little late. I missed some of the word, but
yeah, that was a big night. We had, I think, two buses.
It was a packed house, though.
I think it was two buses that came there from DC.
It was more than two buses. Was it? It was more than two buses. It was about 3 buses.
And Salisbury had never seen that house of prayer with that much activity.
Cars was next block prior. You got the house prayer with cars on Boot Street.
People
and Chippewa School.
Y'all know how we do parking. About 2 blocks from the house of prayer, cars parked there, up the way. Around the corner from that block, going down Booth Street is about 2 blocks from where the house of prayer is. And the people in Salisbury, they talked about that for the longest time because the dedication was boom, explosive, right? All these people, buses, we see the buses. Oh my gosh, these beautiful buses. All these people, cars everywhere, everywhere. They see that the bishop is in town. But what else they would see is that the members would leave. And now Salisbury's congregation, they go back to being just those few members. And so,
go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure of this, but the pastors, I love the pastor. The pastor they got there now, I love him. My heart goes out to him because he's young. And, since he came there, I don't, everybody had their own opinion, but I don't have I'm just sharing my express with anybody listening and knows me.
Yeah.
I love this pastor. Not only him, even Ellis Smith, he's gone home on the other side. He came to my home. I can say one thing about him. He encouraged me. And he came to me. And we talked to the end. We home. He took me fishing. And it was something about him. But it was like reality. He knows. He never talked about it so much when he was shy. But he knows what's going on. But, he felt like sometimes he wanted to give up. But he hung in there.
Mm.
He opened up, tell me things what nobody don't know, but I always had concern because he was like similar like you, like had second opinion thought. He had issue about it. People not helping him.
And when he talked about Elder Smith is the young man. He grew up in Salisbury. His father, Elder Jervan Smith's father, he's got 2 brothers in Charlotte. I think they may still be there, Tuffy and Tiger. But and we're all cousins as well. But Jervan Smith's father was the one that actually started the House of Prayer there in Salisbury. So Jervan Smith, because he grew up in Salisbury, when it came time for a pastor, he went up in Charlotte. He was sent to be the pastor. He wanted to go back. He knew the members. He grew up there. Perfect fit. But about, I think, 3 or 4 years later, he was sent out by Mr. Bailey to go to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Hattiesburg, it was different. And again, this is where the problems come in because the organization doesn't do anything to assist. Hattiesburg was a house of prayer that was established by Apostle Potts, who, like Brother Perry, like myself, Joshua Edwards, Jeremy Killingsworth, Apostle Potts was an individual like Apostle Thompson, who started Portland and Marion, Arkansas. Apostle Potts is an individual who's dedicated, loyal, devoted. He went out to Hattiesburg, put that whole thing together. The members loved him. He was out in the neighborhoods, Bible, pull, teaching. People came up. They had love and trust and faith in him. Whatever happened, come time to build a house of prayer. There was Truth and Facts books where you got pictures that he was showing in his living room the things that they were doing. Excitement, excitement. Come time for the house of prayer to be built. Excitement, excitement. He got there, the house was being dedicated, but for whatever reason, he was taken out. And then he was made the assistant pastor. Talk about humiliation and embarrassment. This is why I'm saying we have to do something about this leadership. The leadership has nothing whatsoever in their mind about soul saving or directing people's attention to the Most High. God, our Heavenly Father, is doing what He can. His Son gave His life. He did all that He can, including giving His life. The disciples did what they could. But what are we doing? And so when you have individuals like Matt, who's traveling around the different denominations to tell them all not only about Jesus, because it looks like y'all are already with the program, but the problem is a lot of places that are talking about the Lord, they got some dirt going on too in the back. And Matt,
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I used to feel so hard for the bishop by myself. I was crying. Sometimes I had tears down my eyes. And, you know, they would laugh at me. I've been teasing. You know, I've been through a lot through the years of, because I was trying to get people to follow me, go to the house of prayer. And they were like, tell me something. I'm having a hard time to understand. Y'all keep saying daddy, daddy, but y'all not saying Jesus. I said, we do say Jesus. And, you know, sometimes y'all, I go through struggle, and because I was, like, at the time I was trying. I said, but dude, they have a point at the same time, but we do acknowledge Jesus. But then open my eyes, I said, maybe they're right. I'm not mad. But even I like that, but I love all. I never pick sides. It's not, even if they're wrong, I still love them. You know, because we all God's children. But we just got to follow one structure, do what's right.
And what
and do what's right and manifest that. And we carry pride. I used to carry pride a lot here. But then I came to reality. I said, I got to be true to myself and tell the truth. You know, ain't no shame. God, I serve. His name is Jesus. Because Jesus is not dead. Jesus is still alive.
Now, what he just let out the bag is the fact that over a period of time, with all of our traveling and our activities and our conversations, over a period of time, he began, because he loved the bands, he loved the camaraderie, he loved the fellowshipping, he loved the traveling.
And I would like Jesus close. You know how Jesus would be close to the backslid?
Right.
Okay. Jesus was more close to the house of prayer. That's how the God Christ in me, that's how much I love y'all, love everyone. Right. I even love the ones that do wrong. I still love them.
And all the things that he's talking about, and he's saying that he loved the members of the house of prayer because he's getting ready to get to a point. But he also is going to this point that he's making because he knows that when members of the house of prayer hear or think that you left, all of a sudden it's like they're directed to turn against you. And we've heard this because even the current bishop telling people, you know, they left us. If they left us, they were never amongst us. And people don't agree with what we're doing. And just because they don't believe, I'm praying for them that their eyes will. And this is where the members live. That's where they abide. To such an extent, like my mother, myself, we telling everybody, no, if it's not house of prayer, it's not right. That's the indoctrination. So what he's saying is he loved all the members of house of prayer because he's no longer attending, participating, contributing, or going to the house of prayer. And it got to a point that eventually he began to believe in the leaders of the house of prayer because he sees all the effects of the people who believe in the leader, the bands, the travel, especially the cafeterias, the chicken wings, the fries, the fruit punch, the iced tea. Oh, snap, the banana pudding. right?
That's watermelon and all that.
It's overwhelming. Eventually, it sucks you in. The culture, the house of prayer culture. But now you see a transition. You feel a weight when you go into house of prayer now. There's a heaviness when you go into house of prayer now. There's a feeling of a shadow, right, over powering the house of prayer now. The members don't feel at ease anymore in the services. The only thing going on is the raising of money, and now everything is hush hush. You don't hear like we did. We were sharing with one another. What's going on? What's going on? How was service? How was the weekend? What happened? You get news flashes, reports, people calling, text messages, telegrams, postcards, greeting cards, all kinds of mail. People would send a knock-knock greeting. Oh, you missed last weekend convocation. So-and-so number of people were there. So-and-so number of people got baptized. Now you hear nothing. And that's the impact of what truth will do once it settles into someone, and the love that they have for God and for their brothers and sisters, now they want to go back to make sure that you know too. And so what he's about to say, what he was going into that direction, is that he wants you all to know, I love you, I still love you, but he's saying that he's no longer attending and participating. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, like I was saying, I still love y'all. I love all of y'all. Y'all still my brothers. You still my sister. Even if you mad with anybody out there, I know some people might have that disagree. I won't be mad at you. But I will always love you, and I will always pray for you. When I pray for you, I'm going to be praying for myself so I can manifest, or that I could come clean, I wish y'all well, and someday we can all see each other to glory on the other side. Because when judgment day comes, I got to answer to him. I got to stand before him all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I got to answer. I got to hear him ask me. Did you tell them who I was? No other God come before me. In the Bible, they look with Pharaoh. Pharaoh was trying to be God, but God was showing Pharaoh. Pharaoh been blessed. If he listened to Moses, when God sent Moses to give him destruction, God made it known. He gave the commandment. No other either. I don't care what it is. Not even a bush. Not even a statue. We can't look up to. We have to look up. Jesus said no other would not go to the Father but him.
Nobody.
He didn't say anybody. He said him. To
Yes.
Jesus. No other. No man. Is I'm right, brother Lords?
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure I could be wrong, but Jesus made it known. Nobody can go to me only but him.
Nobody go to the Father except through him. And
that's right.
In all of these things, what he's getting across and what it is that we've been saying on the channel is there's a need for all of us to turn our attention to what does the Lord say? What does the Bible, the Word of God say? What does the Scripture say, the Bible say? If we understand that there is a need, this is not on. If we understand that there is a need for us to literally adhere to the Word, this is where our soul salvation comes. If we ignore the Word and reject the Word, then we're not going to receive soul salvation. It's that simple. And really it boils down to what is in the Word is the fact that his Son, we must believe in him. With that said, let me show you all a picture of, I'm showing them now, Matt, you'll see this on the video, but this is a picture of what happened during Hurricane Matthew. Okay? And there's a young man, you see the caption at the bottom, but this was the aftermath, and this was actually in North Carolina. Now, you see the yield sign, how high the water is. What I'm telling you all is when we saw those cars submerged in water, Again, we went straight across. We went across it. No problem, no tailspin, no hydroplaning, nothing whatsoever. Now, when I look back, I realize what the people were looking at us for, because they're wondering what in the world just happened. I said that to say this. This is a praying man. This man has bucket loads of faith. This man, he prays and talks to the Lord, and he sees the effects. He had a journey. He came in the house of prayer, had a purpose while he was there talking about Jesus. Eventually, he got caught up in the culture as well. He loved the fellowship and the fun and the camaraderie, and all of it was good, 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 fun, 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 enjoyable, enjoyable, enjoyable. Don't realize, like I didn't, we having fun too. We're congregating, we're fellowshipping. He's still going back and forth home, still attending other places, but he began to believe in what the things were being said about the leaders. Now he understands fully, because on the next visit, the next time you come back, I'm going to remind you, Matt, if you don't mind sharing some of the dreams that you had when you came into the realization that some of these things in the house of prayer simply are not true. Okay, I'm going to remind you of a couple of the dreams that you had shared with me. But I wanted him to come on. We were talking on the phone, and I invited him to do a video because I thought about that testimony. And it's such a powerful testimony that everybody needs to hear his testimony, which is why I wanted to talk about and touch on that testimony about Hurricane Matthew. But that said, the Lord can work through anyone. The Lord does work through anyone. The Lord, through the history of mankind, has always worked through anyone, through children, through animals, and he works in mysterious ways. He's not just working through one man, and everybody in the world got to know who that one man is. We know that that can't be the case because of the fact of the matter that we have just not even a handful of people left in the house of prayer still functioning, trying to survive, while the leader come and just take bags full of money, and then he's on the road again, doing nothing whatsoever for these congregations, including the one that we met him in. You have members struggling to stay above water, and their nose and their mouth is just above water, and he's doing not a thing.
And I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I said that those are still senior citizens, even from Grace time. Please, y'all, take care of the senior citizens. They should make sure they're taken care of in the UHOP, because they need to be loved. They've been going there so long. Take care of them. They shouldn't. Well, if they're traveling, they shouldn't have to give a dime, because they did it all. How do you think we got there? The old people is more important, because it's not just U-Haul. They fight for us laws. They fought for us. They've been through something, and they deserve to sit back. They're supposed to sit back and relax. We have to take care of our senior citizens,
and
make sure they get a lot of care and love. And those that got elders around them, take care of them.
And the good news is what he just said. Our seniors will be taken care of soon, because change is not only necessary, change is not only happening, but change is most definitely coming. With that said, we want to thank you for your time, your patience, your attention, and we thank you, Matt, for sharing your time and giving your testimonies. When I bring you back on, again, I'm going to remind you of those dreams, and so we can touch on those things, and then whatever else you'd like to say, and whatever else you want to talk to them about, we'll do that as well. In the meantime, we're right at 1 hour and 43 minutes. I want to say thank you guys again for your time, and we will see you in the next video.
Okay. To God be glory. Thank you.
Before we close this out, do you want to say something to the family?
All I want to say, God loves you. May God bless you. And think about what I said. I love you. And pray for me, and I pray for you.
But your family, your natural family, you want to give a shout out to anybody?
I want to shout out to my family, to my godson, to the Innes family, and to the Smith family, to the family in D.C., the Putin, even down to all the organization, even from the state of Charlotte to the Eastern Shore, not on One Lake Street, to D.C., Charlotte, Michigan, White House, to all of y'all who knows me. I want to shout to say I love you, and when you don't see me, keep me in prayer, and I will pray for all of you. Even if you mad at me, but that's all right. I still love you.
And I'm gonna include on your behalf. This is a shout out to Kenny, Wiggy, Elder White.
I love them all.
Yeah, don't get on them when y'all see him next time, because he didn't mention your name.
Band members, hold on. But I hear you know, I love y'all. I got love for all the band brothers all around the nation. Okay, just keep it real, keep it hardcore. Don't let nobody run you over. You are somebody. Don't let nobody tell you who you ain't. Your band coach, leader, whoever in the UHOP said you got to pay a fine. It said that's what I'm going to still play my horn. Somebody, you won't set me, but God will set me somewhere else. You just know you got an outside brothers got your issues.
Yeah, and he's talking about all of those of you who are wanting to use your musical talents inside the house of prayer, not to worry about it. But the good news is, again, change is coming. So if you go on pause right now, which is we need the musicians to understand that you all are the backbones of the organization. You all are the ones that's keeping this going on. You all are the ones that the leaders depend on, because without the bands and without the choirs, it's over. The services would be nothing, absolutely nothing, without the bands and the choirs. It'll be nothing whatsoever. So you all consider this. The sooner that you all realize and understand that the house of prayer is on your back, your shoulders rather, you're the ones holding the house of prayer up. We are trying to fix the problems that we're having. It's going to be done. It's going to be done. But the sooner, the better for everyone. Everyone. Y'all shouldn't have to be coming out of your money for all these uniforms and for all of the travel and all of the instruments. And no matter what it is, the point of the matter is, what he's saying is, in case something happens and you have to go outside, plenty of people would love to have you. But what I'm saying is that we're cleaning up the inside, and we're going to be welcoming the outside once the inside is cleaned up, because then it is then on. It is on like Donkey Kong. So before we close out, let me also shout out to his family, Benjamin, Mr. McBride, Cousin Ben, Cousin Francis. How y'all doing? Love you. Doris, Mark, Marie, Malcolm, Robert, all you guys as well.
David and John, and Shirley.
David, John, and Shirley from Matthew. But we're going to go ahead and close out, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Elder White.
And Elder Mesite. Elder Mesite, you still hold on.
Yeah, we're praying for you, Elder Mesite. Got some work to be done.
Elder Foster, my boy, Elder Foster.
Elder Foster, same thing. Praying for you. Elder Foster used to be a pastor there in Salisbury, and that's why Matthew's bringing him up. But praying for you. Y'all got some work to do. A lot of work to do. Clean up. But everybody else, we love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.
All right.